right. Well, today we're going to be talking about Enneagram Fives. Mickey, tell us more about Enneagram Fives.
Oh, yes. Fives are one of the more mysterious types.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be known as the observer or the scholar or the sage,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Researcher.
researcher. And they are really motivated by this need to conserve and protect their resources. And those
Mm-hmm.
resources can be time, energy, attention. They are really focused on navigating the intrusions of a demanding world. So
Mm-hmm.
they tend to observe, pull back, and they're trying to understand what they're getting themselves into. They tend to be non-demanding, kind of minimalist. They aim to be self-sufficient, right? Because if they don't need you, then you'll leave them alone and won't require anything of them. Um, Very thoughtful and analytical. So fives are all about kind of gathering information and data. And the key words for a five are being knowledgeable and competent.
Yeah.
They will
Mm-hmm.
light up
Yeah.
when you ask them if it's important to be knowledgeable or competent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, really this driving kind of basic proposition in a five's head is obtaining self-sufficiency will
Mm-hmm.
set me free from needing
Yes.
others and
Yes.
then from them needing me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're private. I
Yes.
think that one of my children is a type five. This child has been locking the door and wiping his own butt from the moment he could figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like there, there was no like 3-year-old come wipe my bottom. He was like,
Yeah.
I got it. I'm fine. You're never going to see me naked again. Like he just, and
Yeah.
has been able to play by himself.
Yeah.
He's very clear about what he wants and doesn't want.
Yeah.
Barely, when you ask him what he wants for Christmas, he's like, I don't know. I got everything I need. Like, what?
Yeah.
He just is very self-sufficient, doesn't
Yeah.
want to be caught up in this kind of back
Mm-hmm.
and forth of humanity where
Mm-hmm.
if I give you something, you're gonna just keep wanting more. You're
Yes.
gonna want more relationship from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fives really like they are looking at their week, their month, their day, and figuring out how much energy they have.
Yeah.
Like they will run out of energy. So
Yeah.
they can't be bothered all the time with
Yeah.
all these like asks of their
Yeah.
energy,
I
you
had
know?
I was good friends with an Enneagram 5 for a long time, and she would, if there was a lot coming up, she would look at the calendar and be like, "Oh my gosh, we have, this social thing and then this social thing. Oh gosh." And I would get my feelings hurt because I would be like, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
we're doing these things together. Like, do you not want to
Yeah,
do these things with me?" And it took me a long time to recognize like this is just about their capacity.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so like you or I might look at their calendar and it's like, they have 3 days of nothing.
Mhm.
And then, one thing on the weekend and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, so Thursday we could get together and do da da da." And they're like,
Yeah.
"No.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I already have this thing on Saturday." And it's like, it's on Saturday.
Yeah.
But it's really about
Yeah.
understanding how much reserve they have
Yeah.
because what if something pops up on Thursday and I have to deal with it? Well, then
Mhm.
I'm going to be tired all day on Friday. And,
Yeah.
so there really is a lot of negotiating
Yeah.
their time and energy in a way that if you don't negotiate that, like you just can do whatever's required of you every day,
Yeah.
you don't understand how they need to actually negotiate their time and energy.
Now, how do we delineate between just introversion tendencies and
Yes.
the type 5? Because they can sound
Yeah,
similar.
that's right. Type fives, I wouldn't say that they're all introverts.
Yeah.
Again, they're just kind of they have this rich internal space and they spend a lot of their energy there,
Yeah.
right? So like I know a five who people who meet him would think he's very social.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he that's because he can perform and turn it on when he needs to be social professionally and personally.
Yeah.
But again, he saves up his energy in order to do that. He's very like his inner life inside his head
Inner life. Yes.
is very rich.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
so that kind of, like one time what he said to me was like, if you text me and I don't text you back, I've already texted you back. I've had a whole conversation with you in my head.
Yeah.
And so then I have to work up the energy to text you back.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, if you really need to talk to me, tell me that in the text.
Yes.
So I will get back to you, and tell me a deadline.
Yeah.
So that I can arrange all the things I need to arrange. Yeah. Right. And so it's not just that they want to be alone, like, or that they even like introversion and extroversion are about like how you refuel. Mm-hmm. And they're not even refueling. It's like, this is what they need to exist.
Yeah.
They have to make space for all of that internal information, because, people will often, the stereotype for them maybe is that they like, are information junkies, which they kind of are, like, or like that they are just going to be savants who like know everything about something. But it's really because they do really well with data and lots of information, and they really can compartmentalize. So when they're going to talk to you about something, they can just talk about the thing that they've learned a lot about.
Yeah.
And they do tend to process their feelings later, which isn't really an introversion extroversion thing. So but it's just that they, they're trying to be competent and knowledgeable in order to protect themselves. Again, another protection strategy of like, how do I make sure that I'm okay? I'm okay if I have enough space between me and what the world expects of me. Because if I can't deliver what the world expects, what the people that love me expects, they won't love me anymore.
Yeah.
So they're actually trying to show up for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what makes it tough.
Conserving. Yeah.
That's right.
We have an Enneagram 5 in my close friend group, and it's funny because we always know that they will not tell us anything in the moment.
Yeah.
And they will tell us everything later when they've processed it and when the whole thing is done. And it's funny because most of us show up and kind of like, this is happening. What do I do? What do you think? But this friend will just go completely quiet.
Yeah.
And they will come and tell us everything, but it's only they want to process alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does self-care look like for the Enneagram 5?
Yeah. Well, I think, because 5s can live in their head. And now we've kind of moved on to the head types, when they really do live in their head. And they need to be able to reconnect their head to their body, to their heart and their body. And, because that core belief, or that thing underneath them is that they need to obtain self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
So, when they, realize that there's already everything that needs to be known is already available to them, that they have this connection that brings them the understanding of the universe, they don't need to search it out. Right? They don't need to stay in their head all the time to protect them. They can actually understand that there's wisdom in their body, there's wisdom in their heart, there's knowledge there, and that they can trust it. And they don't have to continue to gather all the things.
Yeah.
And so really like touching into connecting with their bodies, with their heart space, like maybe actually doing some things instead of observing all the time, right? Like some sensual, physical things.
Connected practice.
Yeah, that help them connect in, which will be different for every 5, but maybe there's just some deeply sensual practice for them. Yeah. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's, dancing, whatever it is, bubble baths, right? Yeah. Like something that's just not about obtaining more information in order to build that wall around them, but it's really just about kind of that sensory or emotional connection.
Totally.
And that will help them, take care of all the parts of them.
Yeah, that's good. And how do we best love our Enneagram 5 friends?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I did I'm doing a series of Enneagram panels right now.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first panel was with fives, which I was a little worried about because again, they can be kind of mysterious. And I was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, they were so open and so great. And, you know, I think one of the things that has stuck with me about, because I asked them at the end this question, like, how can people love you well? And one of the panelists said, you know, which this is kind of like, you know, tell me about you in order to help me. But he said, help me, like, tell me why something's important to you. Like, help me understand. Because they spend so much time like gathering information and trying to understand, like what he was trying to say is that it will help me relate to you if you can help me understand why something's important to you.
Yeah.
And so like, I guess it's like not assuming that fives don't want your connection.
Yes.
Like still include them.
Yes.
Like you were talking about with your friend, still include her, even though she's not in the moment, maybe being as emotional as everybody else or offering as much as everybody else. Somebody in the group circles back and gets her thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Somebody circles back and asks her how she feels about it. Right. Absolutely. And so it's like, help me connect to you so that I can connect back to you is kind of how we can love a five well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's such good advice, and just not taking it personally, continuing to loop in, you know, continuing to let them know like we're here.
Yeah. That whole not take it personal thing is like, I was pissed the first time a therapist said that to me. I was like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it's true, right?
Yeah.
If you can like realize that most of the way someone is interacting with you is actually not about you.
Totally.
It's going to help you get somewhere farther in the relationship. And as a mother of someone who I think is a five, I have I still have to continually work on that like his need to be away from me is not about me.
Yes.
And I need to not take that personally.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, next up, we're going to hear from someone who's an Enneagram 5.